It is, after all, a high-tech gadget. Understated, yet powerful. A mirror of James Bond's suave demeanor.
Alright y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so today we're checking out a video that is just titled P-90. So if you guys aren't familiar with the P-90, it's like this really futuristic looking submachine gun. It's actually one of my favorite guns to shoot and to own. It's just, I don't know, it's just such a cool design. But this is from a YouTube channel called Ahoy, which I haven't really seen previously, but they have over 1.6 million subs. And they have a lot of really cool stuff. So they have videos on, weapons and even like video games. So if you guys are into either weapons or video games, you might like the channel. Of course, I'll put the original video in the description for you guys to check it out. But yeah, other than that, I have to say their thumbnail game is on point. But yeah, I'm really excited to check out this video. So let's do it.
The future is uncertain. Nobody really knows what lies around the corner.
The narrator sounds like
harm in being well prepared.
James Bond or something.
The P-90, an odd-looking weapon,
so cool,
with some equally unusual traits. So, what prompted the need for a new breed of SMGs? What was the...
So you guys see what I mean by just like the quality of this video is so cool. Like, for one, I love the clips that they're showing. It's very pertinent to obviously the video because it's talking about the P-90, but it's also showing the P-90 in like popular culture. So, it's in Stargate, SG-1, it's in a bunch of other games and movies. You see it all over the place. It's very, very iconic. I think the first time that I saw the P-90 was in 007 GoldenEye, the game for the N64. And it was just so fun to use. And as a result, I ended up buying a P-90. And again, it's such a blast to shoot. Maybe not so much right now because the ammo prices are kind of up there, but yeah, it's such a cool weapon. So hopefully this video goes a little more in depth as to like all the different places you can see the P-90 and also why it was created and for what purpose.
P-90's key rival, and how did it fare? And how do you cram 50 rounds into such a small package?
The magazine is so cool just by itself. The suspense.
The MP5 was king. Since
Still
its
is.
introduction in the 1960s, no other submachine gun came close to HK's offering. And, while expensive, if you wanted the best, you bought German.
Very, very true. SAS proved that.
However, the SMG was in danger of becoming obsolete. The development of Kevlar armor in the 1970s and its subsequently increasing availability raised concerns amongst military and police units. SMGs had to adapt.
What a cool video.
They needed the ability to defeat body armor whilst retaining their compact size. A new class of weapon. Part SMG, part carbine.
PDW?
A personal defense weapon. In 1986, Belgian firearm manufacturer FN Stahl put their expertise to task. A new weapon designed from the ground up.
Oh, dude, what? Okay, hold on. Let me look at this for a bit. That looks so weird. What in tarnation is that? Okay, that's really cool, actually. Okay, and I really love this stuff, especially like you'll see it on Forgotten Weapons where they really go over like the history of these weapon systems and where they came from. Because, it looks like super futuristic, but it is like, I don't know, probably like a 30-year-old firearm or more than that. And it's impressive to see what people can develop and be like so miles ahead of everybody else when you're talking about this kind of stuff. I mean, the MP5, again, was pretty uncontested for several decades.
To fit the PDW role, it had to be compact. So, a bullpup configuration was the logical choice, with the magazine feed point located behind
I
the
love
trigger.
those graphics.
However, unlike most bullpups, the magazine is inserted at the top of the weapon and lies parallel to the barrel instead of the more conventional perpendicular arrangement.
Really cool graphics.
This required a crafty bit of engineering to rotate the cartridges ready for feeding. A spiral ramp integrated into the magazine, with the rounds pushed into the correct orientation as they're fed by the spring.
Pretty reliable too, I gotta say.
The magazine's translucent polymer construction also means you can see how many rounds remain at all times.
So dope.
In fact, the entire weapon makes extensive use of polymers, reducing both cost and weight.
The backpack
Although the
gun right there.
ergonomics are unusual, they are carefully considered. It has an integrated reflex sight, and all controls are ambidextrous, with the weapon even ejecting spent cases downwards.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool thing right there. Yeah, I will say owning the P-90, that is a really cool feature. Of course, it's really considerate being ambidextrous, but having the downward ejection is just really awesome because you'll be firing that sucker and you'll have no idea that it's actually ejecting these cases because it's just coming out the bottom. It's really cool and it works really well.
However, despite all its high-tech features, the most interesting aspect is the cartridge it fires. The FN 5.7 by 28mm round, designed specifically for the weapon.
It's a really neat little round. Very
Unlike
light.
typical pistol cartridges with squat form and rounded tip, this new caliber resembles a miniature rifle round, with spitzer point and a higher relative charge. This means that while the projectile is small, a quarter of the mass of a typical 9mm round, it travels over twice as fast.
Yep, that penetration right there.
More energy over a smaller area means greater penetrative force, and as a result, the 5.7mm is able to pierce body armor that would otherwise stop a typical SMG.
This dude's voice is so cool.
By 1990, the project was complete. Hence the name given to the weapon, the FN Project 90.
There you go.
The P-90. It was compact, less than a shoulder's width, lightweight thanks to its modern materials, with high-capacity magazines and that all-important armor-piercing capability.
Yes, sir.
FN had one seriously impressive weapon on offer. All they had to do now was get people to use it.
That's the hard part, I guess.
If they could gain NATO's approval, the subsequent contracts would be extraordinarily lucrative. So there was no shortage of incentive to meet their needs. The original
sure how that worked out.
SS-90 ammunition was designed with a plastic core, but in 1993 a revision was needed in response to NATO CRISAT specification.
Okay.
Any PDW for consideration needed to be able to penetrate 1.6mm of titanium plate, along with 20 layers of Kevlar,
Oh,
at a
snap.
distance of at least 150 meters.
Dang, dude. That's a
In
lot
order to
to
achieve
ask
this, FN added a composite core to the bullet, steel-tipped with aluminium rear. And these revised SS-190 rounds could tackle the required level of armor even beyond 200 meters.
for. Wow. Did not
NATO's
know that.
requirements also prompted the development of a complementary pistol firing the same caliber, the FN 5.7. Altogether,
Yeah, so if y'all don't know, FN makes a lot of weapon systems that the military ends up picking up. The M249 or the Mini-Me, the FN Mag, so like the M240, the SCAR. There's a bunch of weapon systems basically. So they're actually really good at targeting what the military wants and getting those weapon systems in the military. Even my M4 was an FN. I thought it was all Colts, but apparently FN started making the M4 and the military was buying them. So they're very, very comfortable and familiar with what the military needs.
FN had the perfect package for modern close-quarter operations. But it wasn't long before they had a rival.
Oh, snap.
Meanwhile,
MP7?
Hitler and Koch were stuck in a bureaucratic mire. The German reunification had slashed available defense budgets, forcing them to abandon the ambitious G11 project in favor of the more conventional G36.
G11 was ugly
It was
anyway.
only after Germany's new service rifle was realized that H&K could finally invest in something new.
There it is.
A rival to the P-90, come to defend the throne. The MP7.
Pretty cool.
Now,
Pretty cool
there
weapon.
were two key contenders, and by 2002, NATO were ready to proceed with tests. Both weapons share similar traits: compact and firing a small, high-velocity cartridge designed to defeat armor. The MP7's round was a little less powerful, and its magazine's lower capacity, but the ergonomics did more closely resemble a conventional weapon, and the
Yeah, it's
platform was
true.
more flexible, with better support for rail-mounted accessories.
Also very true. P90 is
In
kind
the
of hard
end,
to mount things.
The Belgian 5.7mm won by a significant margin.
Wow, okay.
It was more
I didn't even
mature,
know that.
already had suitable PDW and pistol designs, and it performed better against armor. However, the Germans vetoed its adoption. And so,
What?
with no consensus, there would be no standard NATO PDW caliber, nor a nominated weapon.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Today, the P-90 and MP7 both see use amongst police and special forces units all over the world.
Yep.
A ship.
Yeah, actually, I think it was my county police over in New Jersey had P-90s. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I think they were the SWAT guys, so it kind of makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, they came into our school, did a little like meet and greet. They brought their P-90s in. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever, especially back in like 2008. It still looks futuristic today, but back then it was even cooler.
Victory, but proof, at least, that SMGs still remain relevant. Beyond the real world, the odd appearance of the P-90 also made it a desirable choice for television and film.
Yes, here
After
we go.
all, it looks like it came straight out of science fiction.
Yep.
Perhaps this is why it was chosen as a key weapon in the Stargate SG-1 television series.
There it is.
The P-90 was new and thus unfamiliar to most. It's clearly a human design, but there's something otherworldly about it.
Yeah, it looks like something the Covenant
It
from
also
Halo
found
would
its way
use.
into the hands of the armorers behind the Bond films of the late 90s, appearing
Hell
quite
yeah.
prominently in The World Is Not Enough. It is, after all, a high-tech gadget, understated, yet powerful, a mirror of
badass.
James Bond's suave demeanor. The Bond franchise's video games were performing quite well around this time too,
There we go.
courtesy of the success of Rare's GoldenEye 007, which featured its own interpretation of the P-90. It isn't the most
Iconic.
accurate rendition of the weapon, but it is one of the earliest. From here, it would quickly become a regular sight in games,
Oh, I didn't know it was in Perfect
especially
Dark.
in those with a focus on realistic weapons.
It's so cool.
Whether practical or not, any realistic military shooter worth its salt has to have the latest gear.
True.
Newer weapons have a certain novelty factor that makes them interesting, although this is never a guarantee of real-world success, as both the OICW and XM8 will attest.
The XM8.
There was a risk of the P-90 fading into obscurity for a while, but the successful NATO tests and increasing real-world use of the weapon meant that it outlived its time as a gimmick weapon
Hell
and
yeah.
has since become a staple SMG in many an FPS lineup.
Yep. Still being produced too.
So, instead of sci-fi, the P-90 now looks more at home in the hands of special forces. It's a common part of the loadout seen in Call of Duty and Battlefield, and its close-range function obvious.
Dude, I gotta say, it's just... So I do like how he's saying how the P-90 didn't fade out because people are actually using it. Because, of course, you have weapon systems like the XM8 or the G11, where it's like really cool to put in a video game because it looks like really cool. But at the same time, this thing is actually being used. So it can be more prominent. It can be more prominent in police forces and in movies because it's actually a firearm that people use and that they're going to continue to produce. I mean, again, they still produce it today. They're still changing up the civilian version, the PS90. And it's just, I don't know, it's just really cool to see. I'm glad to see that it's actually going to stay here and stick around for a while.
Regular appearance has meant that the unusual has become
Hell yeah.
familiar, and also a favourite.
Yep, I use it
It's
in
an
that
easy
mission
weapon
as
to
well.
like. One consistent trait across all its depictions is the colossal 50-round magazine, a
Yeah.
pocket LMG. It's not without corresponding downside. The per-shot damage is never the greatest, particularly at longer ranges. And sometimes the reloads or other handling aspect in-game can be slow. However, with the typically
Real.
high rate of fire you'd expect from an SMG, the P-90's ability to dispense rounds quickly is remarkable, making for quite a forgiving weapon to use.
Yeah, and fun.
In some cases, Counter-Strike Global Offensive being one notable example, this can lead to the P-90 being seen as a weapon for the less experienced. A reckless tool for rushing headlong.
Like the noob tube.
Still, even in the hands of noobs, it's a hard weapon to dislike. And in its relatively short lifespan, the odd-looking SMG has found more favour than haters.
Nice.
After all,
I like that.
establishing a new weapon both as a viable tool for combat and a cultural touchstone is no mean feat.
Cultural
FN's foresight
touchdown.
helped ensure that the P-90 was in the right place at the right time, and its unconventional appearance meant that no one would forget.
True.
It might be impossible to know what the future holds, but you'll know it when you see it. It might not have
Such a
enjoyed a
good video.
decisive victory over its rival, but its bold design certainly made an impression. An evolutionary step for small arms, and notice to the incumbent king that their reign had come to an end.
The vocabulary in this
The
video.
P-90. Future vision. Exotic caliber. Kingslayer. Thank you very much for watching. Iconic Arms will return. But until next time, farewell.
Wow, that video production quality was absolutely incredible. I'm pretty blown away. We haven't seen, I mean, it is a big YouTube channel. This is one of their older videos, so I'm not sure how many subscribers they had at the time, but the quality of this video is just, it's just so good. I'm really glad we have some awesome content creators to release stuff like this, because it's awesome. And again, for me, you guys know I'm a huge fanboy of the P-90 because I put it in my merch design, which I'll pop up right here. Feel free to go and check the description if you guys want to go buy some merch. You guys already know I'm a huge fan of the P-90. I had multiple airsoft versions of it. I, own the real one. And again, it's so cool that I like to use it in video games as well. Everybody knows the P-90 when they see it. It's very, very iconic, not just in movies, but in video games, in popular culture. People don't tend to buy them as much, again, because the exotic ammunition sounds cool, but when you're actually having to buy it, it gets a little bit more expensive and harder to find sometimes. So it's not always that nice. But again, that 50 round magazine capacity, you'll see it with some gimmicky guns where they have like a rotary, like long stick rotary magazine like that, and they're usually pretty poorly designed and don't work that well. But the P-90, when it was released, it was a fully fledged weapon system. So I'm glad it worked out, because again, I love it. I think it looks really, really cool. And yeah, hopefully we can see it in some more cool movies, maybe in like the upcoming James Bond movie, but I don't know. I don't even know what kind of weapon systems they put in James Bond movies anymore. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any other recommendations for anything kind of like this, I know it's not generally the stuff I'll react to. It's not like military units, but it is really cool, and it does sort of fit in the theme of the channel. So if you guys have any recommendations that are similar to this, especially with this awesome production quality, you can throw it down below, and I'd be happy to check it out, or at least add it to my list so I can check it out a little bit later on. But thank you guys for watching. That's it for this video. I'll see you all in the next one.